Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. I'm sure if you've been around the medium long enough, you've probably seen the same tired debate rear its ugly head from time to time. That debate claims that anime has a sexism problem or a misogyny problem, or some variation of those related themes. Most of the time this debate centers around what a very loud minority will consider sexist content, almost always revolving around fan service, ecchi anime, doujins, hentai, and alike. Pretty much anything that contains sexual content is, in their eyes, a product of misogyny, because apparently these people believe that not only are there no women involved in those industries, whether in the creative process or consuming it, but apparently women must also not be talented enough to make that sort of content either. But typically, these sorts of debates begin with your typical mainstream anime. It might start off with fan service in My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer or something like that, and then eventually devolve until someone points at hentai like it's some ace in the hole to show how women are constantly objectified by what they believe is a male-dominated industry whose products are consumed by a male-dominated fan base. These arguments have been defeated time and time again, but like cockroaches, they just never seem to die. So today, we're going to look at this exact problem. We're going to begin with a reply to a series of related threads that essentially called all anime fans pedophiles by default, which I don't have time for today. But the reply we're going to focus on will point out what they believe is the exploitation of women in anime and hentai by who else but by the sole efforts of men. And after that, we'll look at a related article that I happened to stumble upon in my research for today that is just, it's perfect. It's toxic Zoomer culture in a nutshell. An embarrassing article that is right on point with today's topic, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. So like I said, we're going to start today with a reply to a much larger thread that was a complete nuclear wasteland, a place where apparently all brain cells had gone to die, but we're going to focus on this quote right here that got many people talking. Anime is so misogynistic most of the time. It is really gross. I think part of it is because women characters are just so often objectified and fetishized. It is probably the influence of pornographic anime, hentai porn, ruins everything. Also, hentai misogyny. So in a nutshell, this is the same argument raised by what I will loosely call feminists on social media. It's that anime and manga is already misogynistic in many ways, but this problem is accelerated by the male-dominated hentai industry that reinforces objectification of women. So this is one of those rare times where I'm gonna have to employ the source called "just trust me" on this. But it is a widely known fact that hentai, ero manga doujins, and similar mediums all have significant female representation among their staff, writers, artists, voice actors, and alike. And believe me, many people have tried to quantify this already, but it's very difficult to quantify the true number of females in the industry because many use gender-neutral pen names to protect their identity. In fact, some of the biggest and most respected artists in that field are indeed women. I mean, who else would know how to depict the body of a woman better than a woman, right? And this fact is something that absolutely boggles the mind of people who complain about the sexualization they believe drives this content. So much so that they opt just to not believe it. But what is even more hard to comprehend for these people is that a very large portion of people who consume hentai and alike are women. It shatters the minds of these crazies. But women can be degenerates too. I know, shocking, right? But really, how surprising is it to anyone that women consume porn just like men? I mean, just look at the Hub results from 2018. It's the third highest searched term among female users, the same position as its male counterparts. And even outside of hentai, women consume ecchi anime just like men do. Proof of this can be found with the anime adaptation of Redo of Healer. When this anime dropped earlier this year, people thought it was sexist and made to satisfy the sick and twisted sexual urges of its male-dominated viewer base. Well, as it turns out, women loved Redo of Healer. In fact, the majority of its viewers were women. Arguably, the reason it succeeded. Again, women can be degenerates too, and there isn't a single thing wrong with that. But you get the point now. This tweet is a representation of an inaccurate but widely held set of beliefs about anime and hentai, but as you can see, it's simply not true. Ironically, the people wanting to protect the fair maidens are the ones repressing the sexual interests of women and erasing their presence within the industry as well. And I think this all serves as a nice segue into the second part of this video, a banger of an article that is an extension of what we've been talking about. Girls aren't ruining anime, men are. And then below the title we see what is the equivalent of a soy jack meme in an attempt to denigrate and generalize your opposition instead of using actual arguments. But let's see, maybe this article will prove us all wrong. Let's give it a chance, shall we? You like anime? I bet you can't name 5. You haven't watched One Piece or Dragon Ball Z? Nah, you're not a real anime fan. Oh, you like Attack on Titan? I bet you only like it for Levi. You know Goku can beat him, right? These are only some of the examples of things male weebs say to girls who like anime, as I've seen often on TikTok. So for starters, when your concerns stem from the infamously awful world of anime TikTok, you know it's gonna be bad. But all of those things, said by elitists, is something that is gender neutral. It's not just women who deal with annoying comments like that, which, who really cares anyways? Like what you like, you shouldn't be pressed by what some weirdo wants to tell you otherwise on the internet, especially anime TikTok. The problem is that these men believe that girls only watch anime because they're attracted to the male characters. And in their minds, because we're watching anime to thirst over animated men, that means girls are now ruining anime. Like, how they ruin everything else, right? This is possibly one of the funniest things I've ever read. Nobody, and trust me, nobody is saying that. And it's a nice juxtaposition to the argument we addressed in the first part of this video. There is a very real and widely shared sentiment that men only watch anime for fan service and the sexualization of female characters. There's no flip side. Nobody says that women only watch for attractive male characters. At the very least, a very tiny minority of people say that. Which again, just like how women are watching shows like Redo of Healer, men are watching shows like Free with male-dominated casts too. They go on to say, I admit, a huge reason why I like these anime shows so much is because I fall in love with the characters. All the anime men I have liked, I didn't like them because they were hot, but because I watched them grow. Currently, I'm crushing on Shigaraki from My Hero Academia. My god, it makes so much sense. But all jokes aside, cool. But that's the same reason men get ridiculed when they like female characters. I don't think anyone is trying to roast women for that either. The huge difference between the way girls crush and thirst over their favorite boys and the way male weebs do is the way these characters are written, which again, I don't know why you keep referring to men as weebs. It's obviously done in a derogatory way, but anyways. Anime women often aren't well written. As much as I love Naruto, it's a huge example of this. Sakura, the main girl, is pretty, but annoying. Her whole personality was being pretty, loving Sasuke and relying on the boys to save her. Again, a huge sweeping generalization of all female characters in anime, essentially saying they're all poorly written, even if they're written by women. But the same supposed incompetence who can't write female characters can somehow still write the male characters well that you admit to fawning over. She's literally like the person that says they read Playboy for the periodicals and not the tits. I mean, come on. And the article goes on and on like that, but you get the point. People will find any way to complain about objectification of women in anime and hentai, even if it means repressing women in the process, whether it's the content that they consume or the content they're also creating. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you made it this far, I appreciate you spending the time to trudge through this with me. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.